I'm Steve Berry. Welcome to Bike Shows UK, which this week comes to you from Hertfordshire, the Magna Carta Rally at the Hertfordshire County Showground. I'll tell you what, this Ducati 999S is a beautiful, exotic, exhilarating motorcycle, but on the hottest day of the year, and with the amount of heat coming off this 1000cc V-twin engine, well, I needn't tell you what's going on inside these leathers. So, while I change into something considerably more comfortable, here's what's coming up in the show. Well, here we are at the Hertfordshire County Showground, where this grassy arena is normally the home to displays of pony riding, border collies jumping through hoops of fire, and people exhibiting their prize sows. But just for one weekend, it becomes the home to the M&R Promotions, that's Margaret and Robbie Stunt Spectacular, incorporating Supermoto, although technically it isn't Supermoto, a trials display, and the most spectacular part of it all, the big air extreme sports motocross type thingy, which we'll be seeing more of later. And in fact, I'll be having a go at it myself. No one. Bike shows are all about huge amounts of heavy rock, full-on stunt action, and of course, copious amounts of cold beer. But of course, no show would be complete without the custom show, custom bikes, and of course, custom trikes. These are the machines their owners just can't leave alone. They're a mobile work of art, an expression of their individuality, their freedom, and their personality. Bikes that are, in a word, unique. And don't they look lovely in the sunshine? Most of the stalls at a show like this sell a sort of protective leather and Gore-Tex clothing with padding and armour that's designed to help out the motorcyclist should you find yourself in a potentially dangerous situation. However, if the dangerous situation is precisely what you're looking for, then I reckon you should be doing your shopping over here, where the clothing is somewhat less robust, but a bit more entertaining. In fact, I'm wearing a pair just like those right now. People will of course have come from all over the country to attend the Magna Carta Rally here at the Hertfordshire County Showground. Some will have come from around the corner, some many hundreds of miles. But what if you fancied venturing even further afield, perhaps onto the continent, or how about riding right across the USA? Well, if you want to do something like that, the people to talk to are the people from Motorcycle Voyager magazine, and Steve here is one of those people. I believe you've come here on this Victory, haven't you?
Yeah, we brought this down from Bristol just for the show, and we'll be reviewing this in the magazine.
Is this a touring bike though? It's only got a tiny little screen, it hasn't got any luggage and no backrest or heated grips or anything like that.
Any bike can be a touring bike, can't it? At any day.
Do you think?
Yeah, you can tour on a scooter, you can tour on a BMW, it's entirely up to what you ride.
Why did you start the magazine? Why did you think there was a... I mean, there seem to be a lot of stories about touring in the other bike mags, but why is the magazine just about touring?
I think basically a lot of people who are into bikes don't necessarily want to read just facts and figures and stats about the motorcycles. So we've started something whereby they can really live the lifestyle.
So they're real journeys instead of a few laps of Donington and tell you what the Victory's like. Then you ride it to Prague and back and then tell people what it's like.
We've just taken the Harley V-Rod down to the south of France to the Cannes Film Festival.
Very nice.
And we just want to basically show people what can be done with the bikes rather than just Sunday afternoon posing. You can really go out and enjoy yourself on them.
What's your advice for anyone that wants to, you know, they've done a bit of biking round Britain and they fancy going onto the continent, or they fancy going even further? What should they be doing?
I think basically at the end of the day all you've got to do is make sure that you've got a good serviceable bike, one that's reliable, make sure you've got the basic camping equipment and just go for it.
Yeah. Because some people, they just set off and they think it's just going to be like Britain, don't they? And they get pulled over for speeding and then they haven't got the money to pay the fine, so they end up in jail in France or Spain or somewhere like that.
You've got to
so there's a bit of preparation required. You can't just go, can you?
You have to research your journeys, and something we do is we give people all the information that they're going to need to make a trip.
Yeah.
So you can follow one of our simple guides and you can make that dream journey.
Because I know some people who were going down to Italy and they got to Switzerland and they won't let them in because they were on two-strokes, and in Switzerland two-stroke motorcycles are completely not allowed. So they had to go round Switzerland, which was a little inconvenient. So a little bit of preparation can go a long way when you actually get outside of our shores. You
have got to plan ahead, certainly. You can't just get on a bike that hasn't been used for all winter and just hope that you hope for the best.
And I think the golden rule is that when you are aboard, you can find that if you do get pulled over by the police, they're usually willing to accept a bribe that's considerably less than the fine. So it's always worth trying.
It's very true, yeah, absolutely.
Well, a little earlier I mentioned M&R Promotions, and the M&R stands for Margaret and Robbie. How did you guys get involved in doing this? How did you get started? Because your background's sort of off-road motorcycle sport, really, isn't it?
Well, not really. I suppose we started at first was road racing. We started way back in the 50s, and then we developed from there into trials. Well, motocross, but it was called scrambles in the 50s, you know.
So you've been involved in almost every aspect of motorcycling, it sounds like.
Yeah. We've had a long history of motorcycling. We've been in the governing body of the sport. I was at one time chairman in the Scottish Motorcycle Union, and that's the time of Maggie Thatcher, so that's a wee while back, and we're still going. But now we enjoy what we're doing. We're putting on an entertainment we feel that families can come and enjoy. It's not purely motorcycling. You don't need to be a motorcyclist to come and see what we're doing.
Are you taking what you do to sort of non-motorcycling shows and stuff like that as well, and entertaining the general public?
Yes, we have done. We've been to district council events, and we've mostly motorcycle events, I must say, but there have been a lot of other events, and we've been appreciated very well, I feel.
Yeah. What about these kids here, the lads that are doing the sort of big air? Where do you find those boys? Because they're only kids, aren't they?
I think you've got to be young to do the freestyle.
Got to be flexible, haven't you?
You've got to be very brave.
Well, I have actually done it.
Have you?
Yeah, but I don't think I'd do it again. One day I did a whole day, and I did with about a 40 foot. How far is that? About 60 or something?
Yeah. It's about 55, I think.
Right, well, 40 was enough for me. So I've done it, and that was it. It was like one of those things you do once, and then that was it.
Now he's back to second place.
The Triumph Thunderbird Sport, a classically styled, unashamedly retro machine that successfully evokes the golden era of British biking, the days of mods and rockers, putting basin helmets and Lewis leathers, and of course the legendary Ace Cafe in North London, which is where I was the other day to meet the man that brought it back from the dead, Mark Willsmore, and to have a chat about the origins of the Motorcycle Action Group with one of its founding members, Ian Much. Well, we're here at the Ace Cafe, which is possibly the most famous bikers' watering hole in the world, although I think the people that run the Bootle Saloon in Daytona might have something to say about that. But there would be no Ace Cafe if it wasn't for Mark Willsmore. And here we are, 2003, and the Ace is back. What a fantastic place as well.
Well, thanks very much. It's taken some time, but it had to be done.
But it wasn't easy, was it, to resurrect the Ace at all?
No, it's not my background, and so there's a lot of learning when it went in place. But the geography here with the change of the roads is really what enabled the place to reopen, and until that new road out there, the new North Circular, opened, there couldn't be any planning applications. It took a long while, and gave me a lot of grey hair. The whole place seems to have become something of a home for anybody with a passion for petrol.
Anyone,
car,
isn't it?
bike, old or new, or young and old. And we have Italian night, which is more than the Verdas and Ducatis and Motor Guzzes. It's actually the Fiat 500 club, Alfa Romeo clubs, Maseratis and Ferraris up here.
So Ian, you were one of the founding members of MAG, weren't you? When was that? 73,
30 years ago.
30 years ago?
30 years, yeah.
And why did you feel it was necessary to set up an organisation like that?
It was simple in those days. The helmet law came in, and for the first time, somebody was telling us how to live our lives, what we were going to wear, and what could be more personal than that.
Yeah.
And that resentment that we felt against that law really underpins our philosophy to many of the other issues that MAG has had to deal with since. So what MAG has tried to do is sophisticate all the arguments about road safety and introduce to that the broader argument to that of civil liberties. And in the most broad sense possible, what we're trying to do is we're trying to say that on the road, civil liberties still have legitimacy. And that is what at the moment is not accepted.
Do you not think there's a paradox here that the very thing that attracts people to motorcycling, which is the excitement, the danger, the sort of the sexiness of motorcycles and the whole notion of freedom, is also the thing that makes the rest of the public kind of distrust us and be wary of us and want to ban us?
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And you can't, if you try and take all the danger out of motorcycling, you would probably destroy motorcycling. It's the same with any feature of life. You know, if you took all the danger out of, I don't know, hang gliding or scuba diving, you would destroy a lot of it. And I think the biggest philosophic argument that we have to handle is that we have to say danger is acceptable.
Ah, there you are. I was just enjoying a mid-afternoon refreshment. It's very important when the weather's this hot to replace essential fluids, otherwise you could become dehydrated, and that of course is dangerous. That's just about it though, this part of Bike Shows UK. I've just been asked though to judge the custom show, so we'll be back with that in part 2 as soon as I've got this down my neck. Welcome back to Bike Shows UK, which this week comes to you from the sun-kissed Hertfordshire County Showground and the Magna Carta Rally, which of course is held to raise funds for those fine people from MAG who fight for the rights of motorcyclists everywhere. But it's about more than raising money, it's about having a good time. And in the first part of the show, we showed you just a smidgen of the cunning stunts that go on here in the arena. Well, now we're back, we're going to show you a whole lot more. We're going to talk to the guys that actually come and land on the end of this ramp. We're going to ask them how they do it, why they do it, and perhaps most importantly of all, do they have some decent padding in the front of their pants for those dodgy landings? Guys, I think I can say that what you do is pretty remarkable. How did you get started with it?
Basically, my brother used to just race bikes, and the family was just really into bikes, and when I was a youngster I just always wanted a bike, and I just started racing. Just raced for years, and then just got into BMXing and that sort of side of it, and just preferred the freestyle side of it really. Yeah.
You've all raced motocross, but you race motocross as well. So why are you still racing motocross, any of you, at the same time? You are?
Yeah.
But isn't that a sort of a different lifestyle type thing, where you've got to sort of eat like pasta with no butter and drink 3 gallons of water and go to bed at 7:30, is it not?
Nah, not really.
No.
You're supposed to, but it never ends up happening.
What about the performing aspect of it here? I've seen you guys before, and it doesn't like you've got much room here, to be honest. It makes it harder for you, doesn't it?
It's tiny, unfortunately. But nah, you just have to make do with what space you give them. So.
I mean, that's the thing is, it's not as impressive as the stuff that you'd normally do because the distance isn't the same. But at the same time, it makes it harder for you. So it's actually not as impressive and harder, which is like a double whammy, isn't it? How far ideally should the ramps be apart so you can do the business?
About 60,
70.
65.
Yeah, between 60 and 70. Depends, like we jump off a lot of different takeoff ramps as well. Like that ramp there's pretty mellow, and as you can see, we've lipped it up to make it send us higher. Otherwise, you've got to have that height to just get that weightlessness when you're floating in the air, just to get away from the bike, really.
How do you work out the jumps? Because I know one guy who's got a sort of software program that he runs with things like wind speed and distance and gearing and stuff like that. Do you get that sophisticated, or are you just doing it on experience and previous knowledge?
That's where the racing comes in, because you've raced a bike, you deal with so many different obstacles on a racetrack throughout the years. You just, I mean, the more experience you get on a bike, you just, I don't know, you can just deal with different obstacles. Whether you just
of a takeoff, and you can pretty much judge just by looking at it how far the gap is and the angle of takeoff, how much sort of speed or your body positioning and stuff, what you're going to need to get over it and land smooth.
Which is the most impressive one? Which gets the best reaction from the crowd?
Stuff like Kiss of Death and Rock Solids. the big stuff where you have to get right off and hang
which
off
looks
it.
real scary.
The more off the bike you are, the more
But
impressive.
sometimes you get like tricks like a McMets, which is basically a bar hop to like a double surround, which is you take your hands off and put your feet around the bars, which when you're actually watching it, you don't really see much happen. But to a rider, it's a really technical trick because you've got a lot of things going on and you've got to get it right or it's going to hurt basically.
Hertfordshire. It's not a place you associate with trials riding, is it?
No, that's right. I mean, obviously when you think of trials, usually most people think of Yorkshire and
hilly bits.
Everybody there. Yeah, that's it basically.
Mountainous parts of the country.
We have some nice competitions in Wales, but just not many riders because obviously it's all rugby. But no, it is usually, it's nice to come to these places because a lot of the people won't have seen.
What's the best bit about it? Because I noticed at the end all the little kids come up to you and you're a bit of a hero to them. And that's not a bad thing, you shouldn't be embarrassed about that, it's great.
No,
you enjoy that?
Yeah, you do enjoy it because obviously when you've got kids come up or parents come up and they say that was a brilliant show, I mean, it makes you feel good because you know you've done a good job and a lot of the kids will say, oh, I wouldn't mind getting a bike and they want to start riding because of what they've seen, so.
Just tell us a bit about the bike. Sort of how much would it weigh, and it's what, a 2-stroke or a 4-stroke?
2-stroke, yeah, 2-stroke 250. It's about something like 70 or 80 kilos. The actual weight of it, which isn't a lot.
Would it actually be road legal, this bike? Because it's got mud guards and it's got a light and stuff like that.
To be honest, we do ride them on the road because a lot of the competitions are on the road. But whether the police would be too happy with some of the stuff they see, like with the flat tyres and then seeing trials riders going down the road waving their back wheels.
What's the top speed and sort of the brake horsepower?
It's roughly, I think it's got about 30 brake horsepower, and the top speed I'm not certain on because I've never actually had it flat out on the road, but I took it once, took a bike once to get the carburation done, and a gentleman had it on a rolling road doing about 70 mile an hour, which for a trials bike is quite a lot, so. 70 miles an hour on a trials bike with 4 PSI in the back knoblet. I do not fancy that. However, the other day I got the opportunity to try out a modern high-performance motorcycling icon, the mighty Ducati 999S on a rolling road dyno, and find out exactly how much power that V-twin is producing. All right, Gary.
Hello, Steve.
So, SDC Performance here in Stevenage, what do you do? Performance tuning?
Yeah, well, mainly we do sort of the basic road servicing, tyres, setups, etc. Your day-to-day stuff. We also then do more now into the times of sort of track days and race day preparation. Build race bikes, build track bikes like these.
Is there like a big sort of performance sport bike crowd in Hertfordshire?
It is a big market in Hertfordshire, It is a bigger biker area.
And what sort of customers do you get in? What are they looking for, really? I mean, are modern bikes not fast enough for them?
Well, I must admit, I wonder that myself. I get a wide array. I get people coming in who just aren't happy with the generalised dealer, who want a bit different. I get people coming in who, what you're saying about the speed. They've bought their example GX 1000 and they want it to sound a bit louder, fit the race can, and then set up performance to go with it.
So is it all big Japanese Fords, Ducatis, sports bikes?
No, not at all. We will get somebody come in with a CB500 for a service.
Oh, that mad thing in the corner. Come on, come and tell me about this. So, Gary, what's the story with this mighty beast?
Well, it's a Harley Davidson. It's a 1985 FLT engine.
Shovel head.
Yeah.
I know these things you see.
But that's about the only thing that's original. It's been put into a hardtail chassis, different forks. Most of it's been totally modified.
Well, how did this guy end up here? Because, you know, everything else in here is arse in the air, head down, no nonsense.
Yeah, other sort of basic stuff was set up.
This is more the sort of thing that you would do here, isn't it, the Duke?
We do a lot of things. This is another one, track day bike. Came here for suspension work and to check the gas analysis on the fuelling.
Yeah, interesting. But enough of this. Let's get the Ducati strapped down on the dyno.
Yeah, let's get it on and get it set up.
Strap it down carefully. I don't want it flying off through the back wall.
We haven't had one go yet.
Just push it in if you pound the expression, nice and firmly. There we go. Oh, does it?
No, that's
do
fine.
I have to? No?
No, that'd be fine at the moment.
Right, I'll just stick it on the stand.
Yep.
And I shall leave you to it. Do you want me to hold the bike up while you do the...
Yeah, we'll clamp it down now. Make sure it's all in and everything's settled, and off we go.
Right. So, the sort of speedo readings that we'll get are slightly You do get a speedo reading, obviously.
Yeah.
But they're a bit misleading, aren't they?
Well, the difference being is, of course, in here we haven't got any wind resistance.
Yeah.
So what we can do is find out what the engine should put out theoretically on a perfect day on the road.
Is that it? All right.
Basically.
So we've now got to adjust it so that.
No, I'll link into a sensor for the RPM pickup.
Yeah.
And off we go. See what's going on.
Right, well, Gary's given me these slightly second-hand looking ear defenders. I'm not going to wear them though. I'm outside here. Some pretty substantial double glazing of the sound booth. I'm just going to give him the thumbs up and he'll get going. Where you go, Gary? Oh, music. Right, well, he's finished. Sounded fabulous, didn't it? I'm going to nip round there now and see how much power that 1000cc V-twin is kicking out. So, what do we know?
So, well, we've found out quite a few bits and pieces, better info. Let's have a look. Okay, well, it's putting out 123 peak.
Oh, we weren't bad, were we? We said 122 to 125.
Yeah,
so.
it's pretty good. We had slightly higher run earlier, but I think the bike's getting a bit warm now.
Yeah.
And through the fourth gear, roll on run, it's putting out 120. So I'd say just running slightly on the rich side.
But this one isn't mine, I've got to take it back.
Yeah.
I'll tell them though, I'll tell them it's running a bit lean.
If Mr. Ducati's not happy, I can sort it for him.
Well, that's just about it from the Magna Carta, from Hertfordshire, and indeed from this edition of Bike Shows UK. I've just finished judging the custom show. This was the winner of Best Trike. And I've just found out that the guy that owns it is actually a professional hypnotist. And as I walked past it, I felt a strange compulsion. Mind you, it wasn't that strange because it made me want to go and drink beer and listen to the bands in the big tent. So, I'll see you very soon.